Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Rocketfuel podcast. My name is Michael. This is Drew.
Hey there.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing really great this morning. We've got so much going on this week. It seemed like we just published our last podcast and all of a sudden we're recording one because we're actually on a schedule. So that's always a good thing to do. But hey, before we get started though, I do want to tell you about something exciting that I'm doing this weekend. So I've got y'all, if you tuned into this podcast before, you know I'm a runner and I like to run for good causes. And so tomorrow, and it will actually be done by the time this episode airs, I'm running in the Bit of Hope 5K trail race. And if you've ever heard of Bit of Hope Ranch, they're here in Gastonia, North Carolina, and they do horse therapy. They rescue horses that they then in turn use to rescue people. And so these are people who have been through a trauma in their life, people who have experienced something that has hurt them in some way that they're having to work through, or people with a mental or physical disability that need some assistance in some way. They use horses for this therapy, and it's working wonders with the people who come there. It's a nonprofit ministry, and I'm really happy to support them. We'll put a link to Bit of Hope Ranch in the description. And so if you see that and you feel in your heart so inclined to make a donation to them, I'd really appreciate that. I don't get any money from them. We're actually sponsors of the race through Rocketfuel Social, but I'm really excited to be doing that tomorrow. And maybe next episode, I'll let you know how we did.
So how many races does that make for you this year?
Oh my gosh.
Have you lost count?
Let's see. Well, it's not quite as many as I normally do. I've actually backed off a little bit. So let's see. We did the Community Foundation run. I did the Flying Pig Marathon in Cincinnati, Ohio. We did the and then I took a little break actually after that to which we recorded the episode there when I was down in Tulum. And so I did the Around the Crown 10K here in Charlotte, which is amazing. They shut down the freeway and we all run out on the freeway. If you've never ran a race on the freeway, it's a very surreal experience.
I bet.
And then I'll be doing the Bit of Hope run tomorrow. And then coming up next month, we've got the Christmastown 5K, which is a very hilly race in McAdenville, North Carolina, which is known as Christmastown, USA. They light up the entire city, and it's kind of like the kickoff to their Christmas season. So that's always a fun race. Buddy the Elf is out there, and it's just tons of fun. So that's my races for this year. Still trying to decide if I'm going to go ahead and start training for the next marathon coming up next May. So I'll let you know that decision here later on as well.
Yeah, I've run one marathon. I don't know if you guys have listened, how many episodes you guys have listened to this podcast, but I am not a runner. I've run one marathon, and that cured me of all aspirations of ever running another one. I may run a half one, and if I could ever get to the point where I can just keep you in sight, I may even run a race with you next year, but we'll see. But well, we digress. Oh gosh.
Oh, hey, right. I bet you're wondering what we're here to talk about today.
I am wondering, and I bet everybody watching and listening is wondering, but just a quick recap about what we're covering in season 3, Drew.
So this season, we're talking all about social media, and specifically doing social media as a small business. Whether you're a solopreneur, a side hustle, or you've got 10 employees, we want to help you get better at doing your social media. Whether you decide to outsource to a company like Rocketfuel Social or not, we want to help you improve your social media presence so that it can in turn improve your business. And so with season 3 here, it's hard to believe we're in season 3 and we're right in the middle of season 3. We decided to really do the focus on social because there's so much to talk about, and we wanted to break it down into bite-sized chunks that you could digest and have some actionable information to work with each month.
Well, exciting episode coming up. We're going to cover things that you need in order to do social media well. Then we're going to jump into maximizing your returns using social media. But real quick, Drew, why do you think companies, especially small businesses, why do you think they struggle with social media?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things that we see often as, how they fall down doing social media, but these are really kind of symptoms. So, typically as a small business, what we see is they'll get really excited and say, I have to do social media. And so they'll do a bunch of posts, and sometimes they'll post like 3 times a day or something. And they'll do that for a few days, and then they'll get a little sidetracked, and maybe they'll do a few a week, and then it dwindles down to 1 a week, and then it dwindles down to 1 a month. And then you haven't heard from them since 1987. And that happens so often with a small business, and it's not because they're not capable, but it's because they have this messy business of running their company. When you've got orders coming in, you've got vendors to deal with, you've got employees to deal with, you've got sometimes if you're doing this as a side hustle, you've got another job to deal with, and social media is a bigger job than people think. And so when they start doing it, they're like, yes, this is free advertising for my business. So they get busy and they don't have time to do it, but also they don't see the results happening that they expect to see. And because maybe they don't know which platforms they need to post on, maybe they don't know what times they need to post, maybe they just don't know what to post. They quickly run out of ideas, and so it becomes instead of something that's fun and joyful to do, it becomes kind of like a pack that you have to carry on your back, and it becomes hard, and it's a lot easier to try to do other things in your business, and it becomes less and less of a priority. But then what happens is when people look up your business, they're like, man, they haven't posted in quite a while. Are they even still in business? Or are they still open? And it really damages your reputation if you've got a poor social presence.
Yeah, I would liken it to what we were talking about when we opened this episode, running or fitness. I think, people, if you ever, we're coming up on the end of the year, and if you guys want a fun exercise, go to a gym. Any gym in the country in January, and they're packed.
Mm-hmm.
And by about the middle of February, they're back to normal.
Right.
And I think sometimes that's what happens with social media. You alluded to it. They do it. They're excited. And then when the emotion runs out of the bottom of it and they're not seeing thousands and thousands of likes and followers, and they can't draw a straight line from social media to revenue, then they just quit. They quit on it. They say, oh, it's not for me. And they make these excuses of, I don't have time. And, hopefully when we get to the end of this episode, you'll be able to, number one, realize that you have everything that you need right in front of you. And number two, hopefully we can give you a couple tools to make sure that you stay on track. So
right.
With that being said, in the year 2023, Facebook came up out of the ground in 2006. So almost 15 years old.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I was actually doing research on this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but Facebook actually was first invented in 2004, but nobody had heard of it except for those college students that were on it, and so because I have a feeling that sometime in the comments somebody's going to call us on that little factoid. So I figured we would correct that. But yeah, it didn't become really a thing until 2006, and then Twitter came along not too much later. I think it was 2008 that Twitter came in, but I don't have that fact in front of me. So,
Yes. So
but that's not the
continue.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, and if we do say something wrong, please correct us.
Oh
We
yeah, hey,
love
we'd love to
we
hear
love
from you,
being
even if you're correcting us.
absolutely. Well, let's just say Facebook is older than my youngest child, and she's 10.
Yes.
So it's been around for a while. And in 2023, um, what you need to be successful on social media is literally in the palm of your hand. So
It is.
Drew, go over this quick checklist of things that you just non-negotiables that you'll need to have to be successful in social media.
Right. And I'm going to give you a little ray of hope here that you don't need a massive budget to do social media in 2023. You don't need to go out and buy a super expensive Nikon DLSR or anything like that. You don't need to go out and buy massive amounts of equipment and lighting and things like that to do social media. Now, if you're doing a podcast, there's probably more that you're going to want to buy, but let's talk social media here. The first thing you need to have is you need to have a decent phone. Now, notice I said a decent phone. If you're working off an iPhone 6, you're probably not going to have what you need to do social media. And a lot of times small business owners, for some reason, they don't update their phones for years because it works, it makes calls, and it has a camera on it. But I can't tell you how often clients have sent me photos that they took on an old phone that are just cruddy photos.
Right.
And the difference that you're going to have on something that's newer. Now, this isn't the brand new phone. It's not a Pixel 8. It's not an iPhone 15. This is an iPhone 14 Pro. And when I got it, it was a brand new phone. Get the new phone that's right now. And then you can hold on to it for a little while. But the reason these are so helpful in doing social media is because the video and the photo quality on them are so great, but also of their editing capabilities right within the phone.
Right.
You can take a photo that's a typical snapshot that you do, and you can edit that right within your iPhone or your Pixel or your Samsung or whichever phone you've got, and come up with a professional looking photo, a professional looking video, and you can do so much with that. And so you've got the tool right there to be creative, but it has to be a decent phone. You have to have a phone. Yeah, if you're working off the old Nokia flip phone, you're not going to be able to use that to do social media.
I love that phone. It's
And
indestructible.
But the other part of it is people were like, well, I don't know how to figure out how to use this phone. But when something's important to you to learn how to use, you're going to learn how to use it. How many of us know how to order off of Amazon? That was a significant change in our buying culture, where we weren't going to the store to buy everything that we needed anymore. But now virtually everybody knows how to do that. And so you can learn these things. And this is not going to turn into a how-to on how to shoot great photos. There are so many YouTube videos out there. Just Google how to shoot great video for social media, and they're going to give you some great tips on how to use the phone that you have, to use a current phone. And so that's the first thing that you need is a decent phone in your pocket. And if you only have that, you can do it. But I'm gonna go over 4 more things. So you got a total of 5 things that you're going to need to produce really great social media. So the next thing you need is a Canva Pro account. And a lot of times people are like, well, what's Canva? Canva is an app that has taken over design in the past few years. I am an avid Adobe Creative Cloud user. It's something that I have used every day for decades. I use Photoshop, I use Illustrator, all these tools I've been using for a long time. But this past year, over the past 12 months, I have shifted so much of my work into Canva that I used to only do in Photoshop. And it's become a game changer because it's so easy and intuitive to use. It really democratizes, that's a big word, but
That is a big word.
democratizes design for the masses. Now, you still can make crappy looking designs in Canva. It's the same as the old Microsoft Publisher. By the way, if you're using Microsoft Publisher, that's one tool you need to stop using. Like, just I'm not even going to explain that. Just stop using Microsoft
Well, there
Publisher.
goes that Microsoft sponsorship.
Yeah,
Thanks, Drew.
my poor Microsoft. They just, they're struggling so bad. I mean, they don't seem to have any money at all. Um, no, I don't think we're going to get a Microsoft sponsorship out of this. But Canva Pro is a tool that not only can you design things, or you can work off of templates to design things in it. You can use it to create videos. You can use it to create graphics. You can use it to create photos for your social media profiles. But the cool thing about it is most people don't know, what size do I need to make things in order to post them effectively on social media. Well, Canva has all the sizes built in. So you just tell it, hey, I want to make an Instagram reel, and it puts it in the right size. And then you just drag and drop your video into that. If you want to add your logo or anything like that, you can do it. Now, the Canva Pro account is a paid account, and we'll put a link to that in the description. We may or may not get an affiliate commission off of that, depending on whether or not they approve us for it. But either way, we'll put a link in the description so you can check that out. But the Canva Pro account is paid, and I recommend that because you're going to be able to do so much more with it than the free account. If you just want to play with it for a few minutes, try the free account, but you're going to get so much more out of the Pro account. And one of the cool things about the Pro account is you can actually upload all of your company's branding, your logos, your colors, your fonts, all of that right into Canva, so that you have it at your fingertips anytime you need to use it. So you don't have to upload your logo 50 times when you're creating your posts every week. You can just pull it out of your brand folder in there, and it makes it so much easier and so much quicker to get things done. So that's two things that you need right there: a decent phone and a Canva Pro account. Michael, do you have anything to add to about Canva?
Yeah, so just a couple things on the phone and Canva. Um, Drew, you alluded to it. It can be intimidating, right? You and I take it for granted, even though we're a little longer in the tooth than some of our contemporaries, meaning we're old. And we would not be, based on our age, we would not be considered digital natives, right?
Right. When I grew
Meaning
up,
we
I
didn't
did
have,
not have
right,
internet.
exactly. And
Right.
so if you're a digital native, if you've always grown up with the word internet, then Canva may be a little easier for you. But sometimes we're dealing with, you know, company owners or business owners that can get intimidated by a web based app or a phone. This is my advice: take a couple hours on a weekend, get your phone, spin up a Canva account, and play. Just play. True, you brought
Right.
it up. It didn't take us very long to figure out how to use Amazon. And it's because it's something we enjoy doing, and we just figured it out with time on the app. This
Right.
is going to take a little bit of time, but this is not going to be a an undergraduate degree level course. You go in,
Not like
Um,
Photoshop.
yeah, exactly. And that's what Canva has done. Canva has uh, shallowed out that learning curve to where it's a couple hours on a weekend, and you can figure things out. I will touch on this, the branding piece of this.
Hmm.
You do need to be careful if you are doing this for your business. Please, please, please make sure that you stay within your brand guidelines. And
Yes.
spoiler alert, if you don't have a brand guideline for your company, contact Drew. Him and his team can put one together for you. This is sort of another non-negotiable when you're doing social media. You've got to
Right.
be true to your brand.
And I will, I'll add on to that. So, um, within tools like Canva, you do have the ability to make a logo. What it's not good for is creating your entire brand. And here's why. First off, the logo that you're going to get on there, you're not going to get the full vector version of your logo. And if you don't know what that means, it means you can take a file that's this big and blow it up to the size of a billboard, and it's not going to get fuzzy and blurry and degrade the quality on that. You can use it. A vector image is something that you can put on t-shirts, you can put on signs, you can make your sign in front of your business, you can put it on the side of your vehicle, you can put it on hats, whatever you need to do. A vector file is going to do that. The other thing on that is if you're using a pre-made logo template on Canva or another tool, you may not have the full rights usage to that. You know, you can't claim it's your logo, it's your branding. And so you're much better off to have a professional company create your brand guidelines for you. At Escape Plan Marketing in 2023, in October 2023, that package will cost you about $1,000. Which is not very much to pay for a complete brand package that includes your logo in various formats, shapes. So we create it for you in like your Facebook profile shape. We create it for you in your wide forms, in your vertical forms, and your full color, reverse, your black, your white, all of those different formats that you need. A reputable professional branding company is going to do all of those things for you. And so that's the difference between what you're getting when you hire out and create something like that through a professional versus just pulling something to use off of Canva. Now, if you have zero budget and you just need something on there, do something. I'm not saying don't do anything, but realize the limitations of what you're doing.
Fantastic. Well, we have three more things. You
Three
need a
more
phone,
things.
you need Canva, if you can, a Canva Pro account. And then what are these last three things that you need to be able to create great social media in 2023?
Well, the first thing, and it seems like a no brainer, but a lot of people just don't think about this. You need a planner. And that doesn't mean you go hire somebody to plan. You need a calendar, whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's something you've got on your desk, whether it's on your iPad, your tablet, wherever it is, you need some place where you say what you're going to post when. You need a planning tool to be able to plan out your social media. What that does is it does a couple of things for you. One, it forces you to create content on a deadline. But the other thing it does is it helps you to think strategically about what you're posting, when you're posting it, and why you're posting it. Because you don't want to just throw spaghetti to the wall and see what sticks. You want to have a purpose behind the things that you're posting. Now, with that, the purpose of your social media channel is not just to say, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Nobody's going to follow your channel if it's a buy my stuff channel. They're going to follow your channel because the content that you bring offers surprise, it offers delight, it offers substance, it offers something that's of value to the people. And you might say, well, my product is of value. Nobody cares. And that's a real eye opener to a lot of people. And I don't say that to hurt anybody's feeling, because your product and your service is a great product and service, I'm sure, but nobody's tuning in to see that. They're tuning in to see the cool things that it does for their lives, or the value that you have to bring. They're tuning in to see that you're a real company, that you're a human, that you've got something for them. And so when you're planning out your content, if you start seeing, oh, I'm getting too heavy on the push my product mix, your planner is going to show that.
Right.
And so having those posts planned out ahead of time is going to help you. And it also lets you know those instances where you need to do something in the moment. If you've got an event going on, maybe you need to do a live stream. Well, you don't want to get to the end of an event and forget about the live stream. I'll give you a good example of this coming up with us. So, if you've been a listener for a while, you know that I own an agency called Escape Plan Marketing, and that agency just recently had a baby called Rocketfuel Social, and we're having our grand opening for Rocketfuel Social here on the 24th of this month. We will be doing some social media posts from that event, because we're planning that. We understand that there's value in that, and we want to show, hey, we've got some things going on at our company. We want to give you a behind the scenes look at that. And so we're planning what's happening. When we do this podcast, one of the things that we do is we don't just create the podcast and publish the podcast. We also publish shorts that go along with it that show you tidbits of this podcast. And the goal is admittedly to get people to watch the whole podcast, but it still increases engagement across all of our social channels. And so we publish them out on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on X. And all of those places, we have purpose to what we're publishing and why. And so you need that planner. Along with that planner, it will help you decide what your budget's going to be. And somebody said, well, social media is free, but still you need stuff. You need stuff to be able to do this. You might need props. You might need to go to a location. And budget isn't always just money. Sometimes it's time. You have to plan out that time. If you've got your planner, it's going to help you plan out when you need to do things to get them published by this time. And so you've got to budget your time. You've got to figure out how much things cost. If you need to go buy something that's going to be in your post, or if you need to budget time to actually create the content. Maybe you're showing off a product or how something's made in your factory. You need to budget that time. You need to budget any money that it's going to take to do that. So that's 4 things right there. And then the last one is really, it kind of goes along with it. These last 3 things really all go into a one ball. And so you've got your planner, your budget, and your time. You have to make time to do social media. And I'm not going to lie to you, it takes time. It takes a lot of time to create social media content. This is one of the places, one of the primary places that small businesses fail. If you don't take into account how much time things are going to take and then double it, you're not going to have enough time to do it. And sometimes you may take a look at that and say, it's not worth my time to do that in-house, so I need to outsource that to somebody else like Rocketfuel Social. If that's it, we've got a link in the description to Rocketfuel Social, and you can learn all about our services there. We're here to help you if all this is too much. But this isn't the Sell Rocketfuel Social podcast. This is the Marketing Rocketfuel podcast. And so we want to give you useful information. But yeah, those 5 things: a decent phone, a Canva Pro account, planner, budget, and time. Now there are lots of other things that you can buy, but I'm talking about getting you off the ground and you've got everything in your hand that you need to get creative to create something that's really cool. Um, if you've got those five things, you have the tools in your hand to be able to get something done.
Let me put a bow on this, especially on the last three. Uh, you and I have both had clients when you ask them about their marketing budget and they look at you like, what's that? It's sort of an afterthought.
Right.
Folks, if you don't put a number on this, it will continue being an afterthought and it will continue to be ineffective, ineffective. Choose which one. Either way, it won't
Right.
work. And
Mhm.
so put a number on it. I don't care what it is. If it's zero, if your budget is zero, if you literally say, I don't have a budget, then put zero down. At least you're doing something on purpose. But then if you're going to do that, then you better have a plan and you still better have time set aside for this. Because if
Right.
not,
Because you're going to have to put the sweat equity in for this.
absolutely. Absolutely. So have a budget. Be intentional about that. Have a plan. I don't care if it's once a week. See if you could stick to that. And if you can't stick to that for 30 days, double it and keep doubling it until you start getting so stressed out that you're going to go hire Drew. All right. And then put the time in. I
Right.
mentioned it before earlier in this episode. Social media is a lot like staying in shape. If you could, it doesn't feel like it hurts you if you don't do it until you look up and you're out of shape. And it doesn't
Right.
feel like it hurts you in social media until you look up and you're absolutely invisible on all the platforms. So put the time in, plan, put a budget number together, and then hopefully you guys can start seeing the needle move a little bit. So let's move on to the final three things we're going to talk about in this episode, which is maximizing your return. So, Drew, what is the first thing you got to do to be able to maximize your return on social media?
Well, I mean, the the first thing is figuring out what works. Does this work? And that's testing and proving. Now, that's not just throwing spaghetti against the wall. That's something we talked about in both of the last two episodes. Knowing your target audience, knowing your market. If you have not yet created buyer personas, get on Chat GPT and make some buyer personas, and find out and figure out who your target audience is and what they care about. Because if you don't know that, you're never going to make content that they care about. And so, um, start putting some things out there and see what starts gaining some traction. See what people respond to. If you've gotten zero comments on any of your stuff, if you've gotten zero likes on any of your stuff, if you get 3 likes on something, that's a result. Okay. So, you've got to know what is that thing that's going to resonate, and start doing that type of content. Now, you can't do the same thing over and over and over and over again because people get bored with it, but create the same type of content that you're starting to find resonates with your audience. So I'll give you a good example here. At Escape Plan, we realized that people weren't necessarily responding to our posts specifically about marketing tips. And that seems almost counterintuitive. It's like, what? You're a marketing company and you weren't making Instagram posts about marketing tips. Well, we found that there were so many other people making posts about marketing tips that it was just getting lost in the sea. So we started doing travel tips for aliens. And it's resonated a little bit better with our audience. People enjoy that. It's more fun. It's something, but it also goes along with our brand. The people who hire our company are people who own small businesses, not just because they want to work 50, 60, 80 hours a week in their factory. They're people who started a business because they want to create a better life for themselves. They've got something that they want to accomplish
Right.
in their lives. They want to be able to enjoy going places. They want to be able to enjoy time with their families. And so we created content that helps them envision that time with their families. And we called it Travel Tips for Aliens because when you're running a small business, sometimes just getting outside feels a bit alien. And so we intentionally created that content. And it's on purpose, and we know what we're doing with that. We have a reason for doing it. And you need that same thing. You need to test and prove what's working and what doesn't. Um, the second thing is really kind of it helps you figure that thing out. Is, are you looking at real metrics or are you looking at vanity metrics? It is insanely easy. Well, I'm not going to say it's insanely easy because if you don't know how to do it, it's not. But I could go out today and buy 50,000 likes for my Instagram channel. Are they going to be engaged, real people that actually like my channel? No. They're going to be robots. They're going to be fake followers. You don't want fake followers. And I don't care if it says you got 50,000 followers, that may make you feel good, but they don't care about your business. They're robots. They don't even know your business exists. And so don't fall for that. I'm going to buy fake followers thing. I would rather have 100 followers that are engaged than 50,000 followers that are fake. And you need that same mindset. You need to realize that the number of followers you have is not your metric that you need to measure against. How engaged are those followers? That's the metric you need to measure against. Do any of those followers actually end up doing business with you? Do they see your posts online and come into your shop? Or do they purchase your product online? Or do they come eat at your restaurant? That's the metric that you need. You need to be able to tie those things together. And Michael alluded to this earlier. It's not always a straight line. It usually isn't a straight line. But you've got to think of your marketing less of a direct transactional thing and more of an ecosystem where everything's working together to get business to your company. And if you're thinking I'm only going to do that thing that I can say the customer saw this and they came and bought me, then you're going to fall flat. You're going to fail as a business. And I hate to say it that bluntly, but that's what will happen because you can't just feed one part of your sales funnel. Your sales funnel has multiple levels in that funnel. And a big part of that level, the widest part, is awareness. People have to know that you're there. And that's way before they're ever going to make that decision to do business with you. And so you have to realize that your social media is feeding a big part of that awareness part of your funnel. It's not necessarily filling that transaction part, that direct transaction part. And so that's where a lot of businesses say, oh, well, if it's not creating a direct transaction, I can't afford to do it. Well, you got to realize that you're not going to get to that direct transaction if you haven't built that awareness and that trust and that likability. And so you've got to look at those real metrics that are actually showing you that people are starting to do something. And then that comes into that third part, which is measuring the ROI. The ROI is your business being more successful because of this? And you can't just look at it as, they saw this ad or this post and bought this thing. Sometimes it is that simple. I mean, if you've got a sale going on with like a coupon code or something like that, you can measure that directly, and that's okay to do, but it can't be everything that you do on your channel. you have to measure your results in other ways. You have to say, okay, is the traffic to my store increasing because my social media presence is increasing? And yes, your followers should increase, but your engagement with your post should increase. How often are people sharing your posts? How often are people telling their friends about it? Are people rating and reviewing your business online? Those are important metrics that you need to be looking at because they're an indication of the health of your overall company and how that social media presence is helping your company get better.
I couldn't agree more. And this all ties back to the last three items that we talked about in the previous segment. It will be impossible to do this. Impossible to do any of this if you haven't planned, put a budget, and put time in.
Right.
So this is all connected. I mean, it literally impossible to measure ROI if you don't know what the initial investment is.
Right.
So be intentional. Drew, you made all great points there. You make it sound so easy, but it's not easy, but it is simple. And those two things uh, are are not in the same boat sometimes. So
Right. I mean, anybody can do social media.
right,
And that seems like a terrible thing to say as somebody who owns a social media company and wants people to hire them to do social media. But that's the truth. Transparently, anybody can learn to do social media. Not everybody can learn to do social media well, but also most people do not have the time, the energy, the creativity level left after running their business to be able to devote that much time to social media. And that's why I created Rocketfuel Social. That's the whole reason that we created that. It's affordable, it's high quality, and it takes that piece of the puzzle off of your plate. We've got a link in the description to that. Again, this is not the Rocket Fuel Social Buy My Product channel, so we're not going to harp on that a lot, but there is a coupon code in there if you want to try it out free for a month. That helps us out. It helps support our podcast so that we can continue creating useful content for you guys. Action. We want you to
yes,
take action.
yeah.
We both paused when we said action. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. Yeah, we don't want lazy listeners. We want listeners that get activated and do things based on, or at least try things that we suggest. So the
Right.
action tip of the month is first sign up for Canva Pro. Just do it. Don't be scared. Sign up, play around, and then Drew, after they sign up and play around, what do you want them to do?
I want you to create 5 social media posts in Canva Pro and publish them to your social media channels. And all of the tools are right in Canva to be able to do those. Now, at Rocket Fuel, we use some additional tools to publish to all your channels and to create your content, but we want you to get started. And if you can do all of that stuff right from within Canva Pro, you can connect it to your social media accounts and you can publish that content that you create in Canva right to your social media accounts. So I want you to do that. I want you to create 5 posts. Don't post them all on the same day.
Don't do that.
Schedule them, plan them out. When is going to be an effective time for me to post this? And if you don't know what an effective time is to post, okay, well, choose some deliberate times where you say, okay, this makes sense to post on a Wednesday at 2:00. This makes sense to post on Friday morning. This makes sense to post on Saturday morning at 8:00. By the way, a lot of people are in bed on Saturday morning scrolling Instagram. I'll put that out there. They're scrolling TikTok. So there's things that you can do, and you can do all that right on your phone. Or the cool thing about it is you can shoot stuff on your phone, put it in Canva, and then hop over to your laptop or your desktop computer and finish it out and publish it. So get on Canva, play around, and publish 5 posts. It's as simple as that. And if you do that, let us know what your results are. Let us know in the comments. If you're new here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what's going on with your marketing, and what you would like to hear about. What questions do you have about social media? Because it is a big landscape, and we want to make sure that we're providing useful information to you here at Marketing Rocket Fuel. And what am I forgetting, Michael?
Well, just a quick recap. 5 things you need. 1, a phone. 2, a Canva Pro account. 3, A, B, and C, a planner, a budget, and set aside some time. And then you got to put things in place to where you can test and prove whether or not you're right or wrong, and then make the adjustment. Don't focus on vanity metrics. Look for things that actually mean something to your business, and measure. Make sure that whatever you're doing is providing some return on that investment. Drew, any closing thoughts before we leave?
Again, like, comment, and subscribe. Next month, we are talking about a word that I'm sure you've heard, but maybe don't know what it's all about, and that's algorithms. What are social media algorithms? We're going to talk about that next month on Marketing Rocket Fuel.
Drew, it's always great spending the morning with you. I appreciate you guys. As Drew said, like, subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace and long life.